Well, we're back for better or worse. I was largely unimpressed with the first part of this comic, but they've set it up to be a really strong part too. Let's see where it goes and see where we end up. So we return to the freshly blanketed Azula. Seems like Zuko did remember to do that after he looted her unconscious body. Phantom Ursa returns to mess with her again and tells her she has to give up on this attempt to dethrone Zuko, to which this idea actually seems to get to her a little bit, or at least gives her a moment of pause. Which is good, great, they finally might be starting to do something different with her. Unfortunately, they still write her to say stuff like prepare to meet your doom, but that isn't out of character or anything. I like this art on Phantom Ursa too. It's kind of lighter, almost ethereal tones. Looks good, but they decide to just color her normally on the next page. Ursa also pushes this idea of Azula wearing a mask all her life, which once again has some thematics going for it, but I think I disagree. I think Azula presents exactly who she is. She doesn't hide it at all. More of Azula doing her point and click lightning as well. I didn't harp on this part exactly last issue, but I also really don't like that Azula could just summon lightning without any of the wind up anymore. Once again, it just makes it feel less special. With how often she uses it, you almost forget she's a firebender. Lightning seems interchangeable with fire at this point. Oh, turns out it wasn't Phantom Ursa at all. It was Dream Ursa. Two completely different things. Azula grabs Katara and then Sokka jumps in to protect her, which is nice. More of the brotherly love we talked about last issue, and once again, pushing more themes we'll get into later. Azula realizes she's been robbed and demands to know where Zuko is. Unfortunately for her, he's off having the runaway chat with Aang. Zuko seems ultra stoked on the idea that he's not Ozai's son, which is fair enough, I guess. He even stopped calling him father. He's just calling him Ozai now, which I think is a nice little touch in the writing. Aang remains unconvinced though. This seems way too out of left field to be believable. Zuko, despite that, still pretty stoked, but Aang is rightfully concerned about his reign. If Zuko isn't the son of Ozai, then who's the proper Fire Lord? Me, you son of a bitch, says Azula calmly. Now that she actually has fire in her hands for once, a notion might strike you. Is Azula's blue fire a result of her heritage? Azulon wanted to make crazy powerful kids by joining an Avatar's bloodline and the royal bloodline. If Zuko was actually Ikem's son, him having normal orange flames makes sense, meaning that Azula's blue flames could actually be the product of Azulon's plan. That's a cool thought. Wait, what? More flashbacks? No, I don't need another tennis match here. Alright, maybe it's just this one. Well, Kid Azula takes to burning a flower because it wasn't pretty enough. Classic subtle Azula writing. I do like seeing that she had normal orange fire in her youth though, just like in the flashbacks in Zuko alone. Switch to Ozai, he's meeting up with a Yu-Yan archer. Look out, Ozai, I hear that they can pin a fly to a tree from 100 yards away without killing it. Yes! This guy's name, I'm going with Vachir. He boasts that any Yu-Yan archer can
fly you to 100 trees from yards away without you pinning a fly to a killing tree.
But he can do it blindfolded. Alright, I'm starting to not believe you, Vachir. Ozai orders a hit on Ikem through Vachir, and oh man, luckily Ikem isn't a fly, so he's got a 44 to 56 chance to be fine. Woo! Time for round 5 for real. Zuko sends Aang away to find Katara and Sokka though. What? I know you're good, Zuko, but Azula is definitely a Zuko plus Aang threat if you're both available. Zuko tries to pull his breakdance signature move, but it seems like Azula has learned from the last Agni Kai, which is a nice moment. Azula wrestles the note away from Zuko, to which Zuko then grabs her by the foot and slams her to the ground, before picking her up by the collar and accosting her about why she's always been so awful to him. Whoa, did Zuko just win? Kinda underwhelming that the first time Zuko beats Azula is here in a 2-page comic fight where it ends with him slamming her to the ground. So Azula goes on frothing about how this is all Ursa's doing. She's kept me away from my destiny. She's told you to do it. Insert third thing Azula always says. Until between panels here, probably right around here, she stops freaking out entirely and asks Zuko why he didn't burn the letter if he had it all night. Zuko says, fuck man, I don't care about the note. Azula's still unaware he's excited about it actually. Azula asks why, and Zuko just deflects, saying that they can fight later. Let's find mom. Here we see Aang and Co take care of some of the collateral damage from Azula. Excellent bucket form, Sokka, but where did you get that bucket? Anyway, interesting to see that Azula's fire is still blue when she's definitely not maintaining it. We've seen before it cools down to a normal orange flame when she's not. Then again, her Fire Lord throne was blue, but that brings up the question of, is the Fire Lord constantly maintaining that flame? Seems kind of annoying to have to do that, and that also brings up an idea from last comic with Zuko extinguishing the flames. Was he extinguishing pre-existing flames, or did he simply stop bending his own? There's no doubt that firebenders can conjure and maintain great amounts of fire and then make them stop when they stop bending them. So did Zuko actually extinguish this fire here, or just simply stop bending? Is Azula maintaining this fire somehow, or now does her fire just stay blue without her maintaining it? Many questions, no answers. The fire siblings return and Zuko says that they've come to an agreement. Yeah, that's what you said when this whole thing started. Since then she's tried to kill you like 12 times. Oh wait, no, Sokka's on top of it, my bad. Azula calls Team Avatar louts here, and I gotta put that one in my back pocket. Oh, it's gonna be like this again, huh? Past Azula says that her firebending master, Kunio, is an idiot. Kunio, of course, is the firebending master that Toph had a run-in with last book. Ozai agrees that Kunio is a dumbass and says that he'll have him sent to the colonies, which is, of course, once again, where Toph ran into him. So it seems like Ozai actually did it. Alright, that's a good joke, book. Zuko says, no, Kunio's smart, you see, and then Ozai's like, you think you could chat shit to Azula about firebending? He continues to berate Zuko about how he wasn't even sure if he was a bender when he was born, and how, say it with me, she was born lucky and you were lucky to be born. I think this is fine. I didn't need the exact moment that this was said to Zuko to be shown to me at all. I think that line just perfectly encapsulates the three-way relationship of him, his sister, and his father. I like the idea of not knowing when it was said, because it could have been said at any time, right? It's just the way things always were. That was Zuko's childhood, that sentiment. But I do a lot of complaining in these comic videos, and I think I'll let this one slide. This is fine by me. Anywho, Vachir returns to Ozai saying that he can't find Ikem because he ran into some gnarly fucking forest where everything's out to get you, and no way survived being in there for very long anyway. Ozai takes this surprisingly well. He helps Vachir to his feet and calmly tells him to go give his resignation to Colonel Shainu. And all Vachir can really be like is, oh man. Oh, and by the way, Colonel Shainu, who Ozai just name dropped, is this guy from the show. The same guy who was still in charge of the Yu Yan years later. So Ozai busts in on Ursa and lets loose another classic dickhead line. Who you are is entirely defined by your marriage to me. I gotta give it to the writers for this fact at least. They really find a way for Ozai to word his absolute statements really well. Anyway, Ozai blasts Ursa for sending letters home, and Ursa's like, aha, I knew you were intercepting my writings, and Ozai doesn't give a fuck, obviously. He just says he can't believe he's letting Ikem's kid live under his own roof, to which Ursa interestingly responds with Ozai, don't be a fool, before Ozai cuts her off again. Ozai tells her to shut up and that he killed her boyfriend. Back to the future, everyone gets a new Fire Nation outfit, and I gotta admit, I think I liked the first iteration of their Fire Nation outfits more. Aang still has his old headband, but it doesn't quite hit the same without the hair. Zuko looking good with the hood though. Sokka makes a Wang Fire beard out of Appa's fur here, which of course is a callback to his fake beard, and all those times they used Appa's fur as fake hair in the show. They immediately stumble onto a rendition of Love Amongst the Dragons. I was gonna say it's lucky, but literally the only thing we know about this town that they're in is that it did a rendition of Love Amongst the Dragons years ago, so I guess it works. The water spirit, wearing the blue spirit mask, even does a form similar to Katara's when it waterbends here. Looks like the choreographer did their research. Wait, this year? This is a yearly rendition of the play? Never mind, this is stupidly lucky again. We get a rare panel here that is so long and vertical that this video won't support it, of Azula and Zuko actually sharing a happy memory. Wow. Feels good. Here we have the actors on stage wrapping up the play with the exact lines that Ursa and Ikem started the last chapter off with. So we start asking around town about Ursa, but then Zuko interrupts them. Oh wait, no, it's not Zuko, it's some other guy in a blue spirit mask. This guy, to be precise, Norin to be preciser, he runs the play, and he invites them back to his house after hearing them ask about Ursa. We meet his wife, who he's been married to for almost 5 years. Hey, that's weird, that's the exact amount of time that— Wait, this girl's asking if the royals want to meet her doll. Azula, known doll hater, says no, but Zuko says fuck yeah. This little girl named Kiyi named her doll Kiyi because she is a genius. Azula threatens Kiyi, and Zuko says, hey, fuck you, man, stop threatening my new friend Kiyi, and the girl who owns her. This older couple is sickeningly in love, the kind of love that makes your stomach turn. Ugh, you're gonna kiss her on the cheek in front of everyone? God, I'm so lonely. The couple fill in the gang on the flashbacks we had all of last chapter in short order, and the woman says she thought she heard about Ursa coming back to the village and following where Ikem had gone into the Forgetful Valley, but she forgets if that memory is correct or not. Interesting. Oh well, lovely time and all, but we've got a mom to find. Oh please, their charade disgusted me, nobody's that happy. Now, I don't usually agree with Azula, but this time I think she's onto something. Aang and I are that happy. Yeah, well you two are 16. Yeah, and you're idiots. Yeah, let's go, Azula. We flash back yet again, this time to one we've seen before in the episode Zuko Alone. Our characters deliver these lines exactly in the show, but this time we continue on from Azula/Ursa's POV. It's revealed that Azula spilled the beans on Azulon, ordering Ozai to kill Zuko, as I expertly analyzed in the Eclipse episodes as being the case. Gonna dust the old shoulder off for that one. Azula for the first time is calling Ursa mommy and Ozai daddy here, in a clear attempt to seem more innocent and childish in the situation, which is more good, subtle line writing. Ursa ain't buying it though. Ursa comes up on Ozai and says, listen, dickhead, you let Zuko live and I'll kill your dad, which in most situations would be a bad deal, but Ozai's into it. I know how to make a poison that'll make it look like he just died in his sleep, she says. Her mom was an herbalist. Convenient, but okay, I guess. Now, I'm sure you've noticed in these comic videos that this artist loves doing these humongous vertical panels that are very unfriendly to 16:9 video, and this page is like, it's pretty and all, great art, but come on man, I'm trying to make a YouTube video here. Ozai says fine, but you have to leave because I don't trust you not to poison me later. Also, I'm keeping the kids. So long as you leave and don't act up, they'll be fine. Ozai drives a hard bargain. So Ursa mixes the poison and goes to say goodbye to her kids. And here we have a little bit of a retcon actually. Ursa visits Azula, kissing her on the cheek as she sleeps before leaving. She's about to do the exact same thing with Zuko, but Zuko wakes up as she's about to leave. This shows her treating both her children the exact same, the same amount of love. But in the show, it's clear that Ursa wakes up Zuko on purpose to have a final little chat with him. Something she obviously didn't do with Azula in the show. Wake her and have a talk, I mean. This leads me to believe that show Ursa was supposed to be a little more biased towards Zuko, like Azula had always observed. But this retcon would have you believe the gap in love between the two of them was smaller than you may have thought before, which makes Azula's craziness here have even weaker foundations than I thought it already had. If her mom not loving her as much as Zuko was supposed to be the biggest, most integral part of her mental state, right? It's a small blink and you miss it change, but I think it does add up to a lot for Ursa as a character. Back with the gang, we see them pass a rock that we saw Ikem pass back when the world was all sepia toned or whatever. Almost looks like a face, doesn't it? Aang finds a sign that says they're in the Forgetful Valley. It's probably there so people don't forget what it's called. No path to follow though, so Azula says she can burn a path through. Everyone says stop lighting things on fire. Aang says he's detecting some more face-making spirits with his, quote, special avatar powers here, and god, hell yeah, that's what I'd call them too. Sokka says no, Aang's onto something. Look, there's faces all over the place in here, even on that flutter bat. Flutter bat. So what, that's a bat butterfly, I guess? Doesn't really use the classic naming scheme, does it? So they chase the wild animal. Surely that thing has the answers that they seek, and surprisingly it does lead them somewhere, and Aang even thinks that it meant to. Do you know this bat, Aang? It leads them to a perfectly circular and perfectly still body of water, which Aang says he gets the same vibes from it as the spiritual oasis at the North Pole. Oh, cool, so this is another center of spiritual energy. Yeah, that makes sense. You'd think there'd be more of those around somewhere. Unfortunately, Azula gets jump scared by Demon Mom and immediately desecrates the spiritual land with more point-and-click lightning. Nice one, Azula. She once again mentions Azula finding her destiny and that this isn't the right path that she's on. And I guess it's interesting that this Ursa is only in Azula's head, so on some level Azula must believe these things also, right? So Azula continues to say the same things and completely lash out with her bending. It's like we're on rails going from place to place, waiting for Azula to see the same things, say the same things, and then do the same thing. It's kind of getting tiring, but we're interrupted. Flower shurikens and all, you know how it goes. The first thought is that the forest is attacking them, which is weird. They've been in this exact situation before, thinking a forest or swamp is fighting them. And it turned out that it was a bender. It takes Katara an extra second, but she does come to the conclusion that someone is waterbending the plants at them. They even start doing some vine shit from the swamp to really drive the point home. So unseen plant bender keeps attacking. They seem pretty unreal at it, at least on the same level as Hugh. So Katara enters waterbending Zen mode and seemingly overpowers the bending of the mysterious other bender. Kinda like she did with overpowering Hama, I guess. And I don't know, I think one person being able to bend something another person is already bending kind of opens us up again to uninteresting fight conclusions if it's applied every time, like it should be. Like, it happens sometimes in the show, but I'm just saying, it's another slippery slope. Katara says show yourself, and whoa, it actually works. But hold on, Ursa needs some backstory in real quick, gotta keep up on that. Don't want your Ursa backstory atrophying from not using it. That's a mistake I've made one too many times. Ursa comes looking for her parents. That's the only real family she had. A little bit of comfort and some direction from her loving mother and father will surely be just what she— oh, they're dead. Damn it! Ursa retreats to the town stage where some of her last happy memories were, and our lovely older gentleman the gang ran into earlier, Norin, stumbles upon her. Norin reckons sitting alone on the stage crying all night is a good way to work up an appetite, so he says he'll treat her to breakfast. Oh shit, Norin, you got some moves. Our final return to the gang this time, and they're all cozied up with the previously hostile water tribers. Turns out they protect the spirit pools. Yeah, pools, plural. There's 4 of them here in total. Nice little background detail here. They're eating what tastes a lot like water tribe stew, and Momo doesn't seem to like it. Just like he didn't like stewed sea prunes way back in season 1 of the show. So the woman goes into their backstory and why they're here. See, her brother was an asshole as a kid and was always stealing from the most powerful people in the Northern Water Tribe just to show that he could. Well, one day his fucking around finally led to finding out, and basically someone carved his face to pieces. Oh, pretty brutal for Avatar. So Misu, her name is Misu by the way, found a way to fix Rafa, his name is Rafa by the way, by coming to this forest. According to an ancient scroll, here lives a spirit with the power to give people new faces. So they've been here since their childhoods basically, looking for this spirit. Sokka asks why Rafa hasn't eaten anything, and Misu explains super casual that, oh, he doesn't really eat anymore. He doesn't really do much of anything actually. Ever since his injury, he's been caught between life and death. So he's a zombie? What do you mean? He just had his face sliced up, right? How can he go on not eating? And of course Misu did this for Rafa. She's his sister. Katara and Sokka are like, yep, sounds about right. Misu goes on to explain that the giant wolf spirit is the key to finding this other face-granting spirit. Whenever the wolf shows up, which is very rarely, it will drink from one of the spirit pools. And when that does happen, the face giver will appear, but they always manage to be at one of the 3 incorrect pools whenever that happens. So Aang says, nah, you got me on your side now. I'm pretty good at this whole spiritual thing. Let me go to the spirit world right quick, see if I can sort something out. Azula has the opposite reaction, of course, that this is a waste of time and that they're supposed to be looking for their mother. Azula continues to chirp Zuko until yet again the crazy switch is flipped in her head between panels and she says one of her 3 given lines. This time it's the one about her mother orchestrating the situation. Ah, classic. So of course, since we've moved on to a new scenario and Azula has now lost her shit again screaming at Ursa, just like always, it's time for her to violently lash out with her bending, just like always. This hasn't become predictable at all. So Azula winds up some more interchangeable lightning fire bending and aims to blast Misu, which Zuko vaguely gets in the way of. Not sure, because we're now joining Aang in the spirit world. So Aang in the spirit world finds himself in a forest that is even facier than the one he was already in. See, that's something I've always wondered. When you enter the spirit world from a place in the physical world, are you placed in a corresponding area? Like, is this area when Aang entered from the North Pole the corresponding place to the physical North Pole? Like, there's no reason it wouldn't be, but my brain's always been like, well, the spirit world is supposed to be weird and wonky and not follow many rules, right? But Aang being in another forest of faces makes it seem like the answer is probably yes. So Aang runs into the spirit form of that bat from earlier, and the spirit form speaks English. Turns out it was trying to actually help them earlier and wants to continue to help Aang now, which means hell yeah. Aang spots the spirit wolf right away. I guess it hangs around the spirit version of this forest more often, and after trying to have a chat with it, it turns out it either doesn't speak or doesn't want to speak with Aang. So it takes off, and Aang grabs on for dear life. Remember, spirit world, no bending, so it's not like he could just run and keep pace with it. The wolf spirit brings Aang to yet another spirit, and I'm starting to think, now stay with me, this might be the face spirit those 2 have been looking for. It's just a hunch, but my intuition is usually pretty good about these things. And that's where we end things off with the search part 2. This isn't exactly what I was looking for the second part of this book. I was really hoping for something tighter, I guess. It was tighter than the last chapter for sure, and I think they weaved in the flashbacks a lot more fluidly than last time too, but still, I think the pacing does suffer for it. The overall story, even though we're already through 2 of 3 parts of it, only now feels like it's really getting started. Misu and Rafa are interesting additions at least, and seeing a bit of what happened post Zuko alone from Ursa's perspective is also good, but the main story with our main characters really seems like it's dragging its feet. It's becoming so formulaic. I said it in the video, go to new location, Azula freaks out about mom, Azula fights the group, calm Azula down, go to new location, repeat. Seriously, it's boring at this point. It's the same thing over and over. It's the same thing over and over. It's the same thing over and over. See how annoying that gets? We've had glimpses a little bit of Azula maybe second guessing herself, maybe her mania is cracking a bit, but not enough to really comment on. It's just mostly been the same Azula randomly freaks out as last chapter, which I just don't find engaging. Overall, I think a disappointing second part for what they teed up to be a home run. But alright, now surely there's no more flashbacks to be had. We've got a crazy giant spirit in front of us, as well as Zuko's parentage and Azula's mental state to all tie up in one chapter next time. It'll be better. I have faith. Patreon shoutouts. If you want to see 2 brand new videos from me, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons, Agent Rhino, who has a big old lake out back that has the last couple megalodons in it. Danger Stranger, who got into an Old West showdown at high noon and won by throwing a ninja star. Fat Houdini, who can open a portal to any exact coordinates he's thinking about if he yells as loud as he can for 10 seconds. Hard on the throat though, you know? Omega Fighter, who had a life or death game of tag with a gorilla he met at the zoo when he was a kid. Little does he know the gorilla is still playing. Sean Martin, who can get the sensation of popping bubble wrap whenever he wants without popping anything. So basically the most powerful superpower I've ever come up with. Stephanie Riches, who, due to a fortuitous spelling error with her bank, her balance was updated to just the word rich and now she has infinite money. Thomas Lautenbach, who was unwittingly time displaced 20 years on the spiritual plane and has been haunting his house 2 decades in the past all this time. Tiago Nascimento, who found another chunk of the Rosetta Stone and now he's pretty sure he can speak to storms. Varunda, who can't compete in 3-legged races anymore because the board decided being able to summon a 3rd demon leg to run with his band. And Whitrow, who is rank 1 all time. Just rank 1. And of course my god overanalyzers, 2 Boots Are Beat, Anders Finman, Andrew Watchett, Austin Gallup, Be My Valentine, Dizzy Payne, Dominic Saint, Distant, Aaron Grace, It's Carton, Jackson, John Ajaka, Justin Fletchall, Lauren Eduardo Montoya and Zunza, Mr. Freeze, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Phil, Philip Conti, Pogger White, Reese, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell, Samuel Vanderplatz, Super Snipper, Turt Bobs, and the Bearface. Next up, I think we'll fuck around and finish this comic.